Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star 2, Land of Origin based on novel. So let's start. Flame Wind Ancient Country, Chu Capital, Palace of Emperor Chu. Within the ancient hall, a towering figure opened his eyes and murmured in a low voice, "To fully comprehend a complete origin great Tao is far too difficult. No wonder the enlightened one lineage holds the most honored status." After ceasing his cultivation, Emperor Chu looked around. All the rules and regulations of his surroundings were clearly visible to him, and he also sensed a change in one of the many threads of causality entwined with himself. The reason he focused on this thread of causality was that it was deeply entangled with him. It was the causality between himself and his direct disciple, Luo Feng. In the land of origin, the relationship between master and disciple is no less than that of blood relatives, and the intertwining of causality can be imagined. Luo Feng, has he made a breakthrough? Emperor Chu revealed a smile, sensing that the other end of their entwined causality, Luo Feng, had grown much stronger. Through the sense of causality, he has become much more powerful than before, almost comparable to the second realm of Godly King. Seeing his disciple become so strong naturally filled Emperor Chu with joy. "Luo Feng, come to see me at once," Emperor Chu transmitted his voice through the causality, reaching out from afar. "Yes, master." Luo Feng responded through causality. In the past, Luo Feng did not have the ability to communicate through causality, but after becoming a godly king, the laws of his world became much more powerful, and his control over causality deepened. Soon, Luo Feng arrived at the palace of Emperor Chu. "Master," Luo Feng entered the hall and immediately offered his respectful salutations. This avatar of his also contained 1,000th of a world life form's energy reserves. Merely with this avatar, he was indeed worthy of being called invincible within the first realm of Godly King. "The gap between my teacher and me remains vast." This time, Luo Feng's sensing was even clearer. In his perception, Emperor Chu was like the embodiment of the great Tao of destruction origin, like an immense world that was unshakable, every move carrying boundless destructive might. Luo Feng's avatar, with life preservation capabilities surpassing even the ancestral god of the snow realm, felt that if his master were to make a move, it would likely annihilate this avatar within 2 or 3 strikes. "Good." Emperor Chu's eyes shone with a mysterious light, scrutinizing his disciple from various aspects, and praising him. "Luo Feng, I didn't expect that having just become a godly king, you could cultivate the great Tao of life and matter to such profound depths. The combination of the two is even more ingenious, achieving such a powerful physical body." "Master flatters me," Luo Feng felt somewhat ashamed. He had not cultivated the origin Tao of matter. What he truly cultivated concurrently were the great Tao of life and destruction. "There's no need for modesty," Emperor Chu exclaimed with admiration. "Across the land of origin, those who reach invincibility in the first realm of Godly King without external aid are rare. And you've just become a godly king and have already reached this level, ha ha. No amount of praise is too much. Master, what do you think of this body of mine? When facing powerful enemies in the future, what should I be wary of?" Luo Feng inquired, as his master was far more experienced and knowledgeable than he was. "This body of yours is robust and profound, difficult to erode by conventional means, deeply attuned to the mysteries of the origin Tao of matter," Emperor Chu noted, "and it also integrates the great Tao of life origin. I have a feeling that even if I strike with all my might and annihilate you, your physical body could still recover from nothingness, brimming with life force. I'm afraid it would take several strikes for me, each one having to break through the braided cage's barriers and annihilate everything, to completely obliterate your physical body," Emperor Chu stated. "Below the level of emperors, I fear none could eradicate your physical body." Luo Feng understood. The paths of life and matter are both difficult to erode. Combined, their effects naturally stack. However, a world life form puts a great strain on the spirit. They generally can't execute intricate techniques, and it's only when Luo Feng wields an avatar with 1,000th of the energy reserve that he can perform elaborate maneuvers. I know you're also skilled in the clone technique, Emperor Chu said with a smile. At your level, even emperors and monarchs must use their true bodies to instantly annihilate one of your avatars, granting all your other avatars sufficient time to employ the reincarnation technique. Luo Feng knew that his ability to preserve life was even more formidable than his master realized. The true body of a world life form held 1,000 times more energy reserves than an avatar. Even emperors and monarchs, as powerful as they are, would need some time to destroy it. Of course, it would still only take a bit longer. Looking over the entire land of origin, only 4 beings can truly kill you, Emperor Chu declared. Which 4? Luo Feng inquired. 2 ancestors, the ancestor from the East Extreme Domain, and Emperor Qing, Emperor Chu replied. They have all transcended the ultimate realm of God King. Luo Feng was shaken. His master had not previously elaborated on the top-tier powers of the land of origin, but this time there were no more secrets. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. You've cultivated to your current realm. It's time you understood the truly terrifying entities of the land of origin. These 4 are very detached. You won't provoke them for now, Emperor Chu said with a smile. When the day comes that you can provoke them, the gap between you and them might not be so large. Luo Feng was surprised, only to find Emperor Chu watching him with a smile. Have confidence. Who knows, maybe one day you might become stronger than the 2 ancestors. What cultivator lacks confidence? Indeed, Luo Feng concurred. In any case, it's still best to avoid emperors and monarchs, Emperor Chu advised, especially those cultivating the primordial bloodline, for they are always tainted by its corruption night and day, and tend to have foul tempers. Disciple understands, Luo Feng replied, aware that in the Thunder ancient country there was even a half out of control monarch-level powerhouse. Although other emperors and monarchs went out of control, their nasty dispositions were entirely understandable. Marquis Chu Yuan's temper was something Luo Feng had witnessed before. The path of cultivation is difficult. When you reach the second realm of Godly King, you will feel it even more clearly, Emperor Chu said, just like it's easy to comprehend 10 basic laws, but to fuse these 10 laws into one, to comprehend the law of primal chaos, is many times more difficult. Similarly, it's easy to comprehend a few branches of a great Tao, but to perfectly fuse them into one complete Tao is very difficult. Even I haven't been able to do it, Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. Emperors and monarchs are life forms of the ultimate realm of God King, but almost all of them rely on external forces, Emperor Chu said. Only Emperor Qing and the Lord of 10,000 realms from this current era of the land of origin have truly comprehended a complete origin great Tao on their own. Luo Feng nodded. 2 ancestors who transcended the ultimate realm of God King and the ancestral god of the East Extreme Domain were from the previous reincarnation era. Emperor Qing was indeed formidable. As one of the 2 peerless powerhouses who had comprehended a complete origin great Tao in this era, he had even transcended the ultimate realm. No wonder he was so extraordinary among the 13 emperors. When one's life steps into the ultimate realm of God King, there are 3 paths, Emperor Chu explained patiently to his disciple. The first path is to comprehend a complete origin great Tao. This path is the most difficult. Emperor Qing and the Lord of 10,000 realms have done it this way. The second path is like the one your master has taken, relying on a powerful inheritance to comprehend the secret technique for ultimate realm life forms at the pinnacle of the second realm of Godly King. Using this secret technique, and supplemented by precious primordial materials, one can fully transition their life into the ultimate realm. After the transformation, every action carries boundless power. Lastly, there's the primordial bloodline route, unlocking the potential of the primordial bloodline, and causing one's life form to evolve to the ultimate realm of God King. This path is relatively easier and has a higher ceiling, but it comes with greater risks, Emperor Chu explained. Luo Feng understood. All three paths could lead a life form to the ultimate realm. Even the path his master had taken, Luo Feng could sense its difficulty. One first needs a record of the secret technique for ultimate realm life forms. To comprehend an ultimate realm level secret technique within the second realm of Godly King. And then, with the provision of precious resources, one could succeed in the cultivation. When it comes to strength, we emperors and monarchs should be weaker than those who have comprehended a complete Tao, like the Lord of 10,000 Realms. Their secret techniques are more refined, Emperor Chu said with a smile. But we have powerful weapon secret treasures bestowed by ancestors. Combined with the secret treasures, we can naturally contend with the Lord of 10,000 Realms and that sector beast. Luo Feng understood. The 13 emperors of the Flame Wind Imperial clan were at least at the sector beast level. Moreover, they each specialized in different abilities, making their collaboration even more terrifying. Then there were Emperor Ming, Emperor Husband, and Emperor Qing, each one more dazzling than the last. Of course, behind the Imperial clan, there was also the primogenitor Yang Feng, who didn't participate in the Land of Origin's conflicts. This is the strength of the high-level Flame Wind Ancient Country Imperial clan, Luo Feng sighed inwardly. It's no wonder that the two imperial clans occupied most of the resources. Their power was overwhelming in the Land of Origin. Even the Lord of 10,000 Realms and the sector beast of Qianmu Kingdom had to find ways to make connections with the two ancient countries. The East Extreme Domain could only shrink into a corner of the continent. The monarchs of Thunder Ancient Country are also terrifying, Emperor Chu continued. The ancestor of Thunder followed the primordial bloodline path himself, and all the monarchs of Thunder Ancient Country cultivate the primordial bloodline. The power they exhibit is even more troublesome and fearsome than that of the emperors of Flame Wind Ancient Country, who cultivate the primordial bloodline. Besides the two ancient imperial clans, there are the scattered god kings. Emperor Chu looked at Luo Feng. The other creatures of the Land of Origin constitute the vast majority, and the number of second realm god kings they produce is far greater than those of our imperial clans. Of course, Luo Feng understood that places like the Reincarnation Tower had quite a few second realm god kings. Among this group of second realm god kings, there are also those of stunning brilliance. Their talents may even surpass mine, Emperor Chu said. They cultivate multiple great Daos and powerful special grade inheritances. Even if they haven't stepped beyond life-wise, their many powerful secret techniques allow them to be comparable to us. These scattered second realm god kings need to cultivate, want to grow stronger, and hope to reach the ultimate realm too. Naturally, they contend for resources with our two great imperial clans, Emperor Chu said with a smile. They want to compete, and the imperial clans want to compete too, so naturally, conflicts arise, and so does animosity. In the Land of Origin, there are also alien races stirring trouble in secret. Emperor Chu shook his head. Luo Feng, the stronger you get, the more cautious you must be in everything you do, lest you be foolishly exploited without even realizing it. Saying so, Emperor Chu extended his hand from afar, and a streak of flowing light flew towards Luo Feng. Upon touching Luo Feng, a flood of information was transmitted. Luo Feng was shocked. Intelligence about the alien races in the shadows, information on some terrifying existences in the Land of Origin, reports on numerous treasure locations, chances left by Yuan, and detailed information on many fearsome powerhouses. Aside from the scant descriptions of Emperor Qing, the ancestral god of the East Extreme Domain, and the two ancestors, who were beyond God King Ultimate Realm, all other powerhouses were recorded in detail, including even some imprisoned mad beings. Each piece of information, if bought, would be extremely expensive, and now it was all given to Luo Feng. Thank you, Master, Luo Feng felt grateful. I am your master, Emperor Chu said. By the way, in the land of origin, there are some god kings who cultivate the origin Tao of causality. They have a deeper control over causality, and can determine through it that your life has transformed. So, the news of you becoming a god king. It won't take long for it to spread. You need to be prepared. Emperor Chu's guess was not mistaken. News of Luo Feng becoming a godly king was quickly confirmed, and the two biggest intelligence organizations, the Flame Wind Pavilion and Thunderclap Commerce, both verified this and sold the information to their clients. Po Lu Mountain. Inside a gigantic bath, a sanctified white scale-armored creature with a sinuous body was cultivating, with faint golden light spreading around it. The creature suddenly opened its eyes, its form shifted, transforming into the appearance of Po Lu Godly King, and he smiled, as everyone expected. Luo, he has indeed become a godly king in such a short time. To reach such invincibility in the first realm of godly king, without relying on external forces, is truly terrifying, Po Lu Godly King said, quite envious. Such extraordinary talent is well understood by the true powerhouses of the land of origin. They know its immense potential. Even the two ancient countries place utmost importance on it. Like Godly King Jiayin in the Thunder Ancient Country, he is heavily utilized, because the imperial clan of the Thunder Ancient Country, being cultivators of the primordial bloodline, are mostly not suitable for governing the nation. In the Flame Wind Ancient Country, the threshold for cultivating the primordial bloodline is extremely high. Many are not qualified to cultivate it at the first realm of Godly King, and about half at the second realm of Godly King. Thus, there are many godly kings who maintain absolute sober rationality, enough for them to manage the nation. Guest elders as godly kings do not qualify to participate in the governance of the ancient country. I had my master's guidance to switch to cultivating primordial bloodline to achieve invincibility in the first realm of Godly King. Compared to Luo, I'm far behind, Po Lu Godly King said, with a trace of unwillingness in his eyes. Achieving a breakthrough in realm is too difficult. Even with my understanding of the rules contained within the primordial bloodline, I still cannot break through to the second realm of Godly King. Po Lu Godly King gently shook his head, then transformed back into his primordial bloodline true body, and continued his devoted cultivation. Thunder Ancient Country, Zhuashan City. Mountain Sitting Guest, as the newly transcended of the transcendence of primal chaos realm, was very low-key, wholly focused on understanding the primordial bloodline. He was not in a rush to become a godly king. For him, achieving that status was something he could do anytime. Mountain Sitting Guest sat cross-legged, flames rising from his body surface, yet his expression remained calm, without a ripple of disturbance. His spiritual will was at the level of the second realm of Godly King, and his realm was also high enough, making it very easy for him to initially understand the primordial bloodline, maintaining absolute sober rationality. In the land of origin, many idle godly kings, who obtained the primordial bloodline, received a rather ordinary type. The primordial bloodlines that were qualified for reaching emperor or monarch levels was something the two ancient countries would never release. Those of the next tier required immense merit points to exchange. Like the monarch of Yu Kingdom and master of the Sha Kingdom, who were already at the second realm of Godly King. The primordial bloodlines they received were rather ordinary. They were all capable of maintaining absolute sober rationality. In contrast, cultivating top-tier bloodlines, although hopeful of reaching emperor level, could easily lead to losing control. There are gains and losses. Idle godly kings, when cultivating primordial bloodlines, generally maintained rationality. The imperial clans of the two ancient countries, by cultivating stronger primordial bloodlines, many experienced significant personality changes, and even some lost control. Mountain Sitting Guest suddenly received intelligence. He naturally had a long-term subscription for all intelligence regarding Luo He. Luo Feng broke through. Mountain-sitting guest thought happily, so quickly, he's become a godly king after just over a century in the land of origin. Initially, he had entered the depths of universe ocean in utter despair. Enslave a sector beast. Train a disciple for revenge. The hopes were very slim. But mountain-sitting guest was self-aware. Staying in the land of origin, he would never be able to surpass the three rulers of the Shi kingdom. He would never manage to kill any of them completely. Later, when Luo Feng managed to master the Lai Yuan technique, mountain-sitting guest became excited. After all, this was a tradition that had been passed down several times, yet countless geniuses of the land of origin could not master it. Luo Feng's success implied he had passed the Yuan test. Subsequently, Luo Feng became a true god, with his small universe's size unprecedented, making mountain-sitting guest realize this disciple surpassed any other cultivator at the same level. His confidence grew stronger and stronger. To reach such power without the aid of external forces, mountain-sitting guest thought, among the three rulers of the Shi kingdom, only the emperor of Tian Kuan is stronger than Luo Feng. Mountain-sitting guest was immensely exhilarated. With exhilaration, he felt his spiritual will and fighting spirit greatly intensified. Just wait a bit longer. Mountain-sitting guest knew well that to completely kill the three rulers, he was still far off. Royal capital of Shi kingdom, the palace. The emperor of Tian Kuan sat in the principal seat. Big brother, Wuxiang ancestor spoke, after your last instructions, we carefully planned. The boundary lines of various primal chaos prefectures are ready, we can invade Yu kingdom at any moment. But we just got news that Luo He has become a godly king. Wuxiang ancestor was filled with hostility towards Luo Feng, ruining his biggest opportunity. He's just become a godly king, that's all. The emperor of Tian Kuan spoke indifferently, it doesn't affect the overall situation. According to various estimates, after he became a godly king, he should soon reach the invincible strength in the first realm of godly king. Godly King Ku Feng said, we're not afraid of him, but if he makes a move, we can't stop him. Wuxiang ancestor, Demon Blade godly king, Liu Yu godly king, and Ku Feng godly king are all deeply experienced godly kings, but even the strongest, Wuxiang ancestor, is only at the limit of the first realm of godly king. This time, my friends and I decided together, if Luo He doesn't intervene, so be it. But if he forcefully steps in, I will make him pay the price. The emperor of Tian Kuan's eyes shone with a cold light, but remember, when we fully invade Yu kingdom, avoid Huyang city. Also avoid the entire primal chaos prefecture, where Huyang city is located. I gave him face, yet he still took action. If a conflict arises, even the imperial clan of Flame Wind ancient country can't blame me, said the emperor of Tian Kuan, unconcerned about Luo He. He was more interested in the thoughts of the imperial clan of Flame Wind ancient country. Yes, we will avoid that primal chaos prefecture, the four godly kings realized. The emperor of Tian Kuan nodded. Following his will, the various primal chaos prefectures along the border of Shi kingdom began crossing the boundary line in full force, invading Yu kingdom. Of course, they merely avoided the Zhujiang primal chaos prefecture, where Huyang city was located. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Huyang city. City Lord, Deputy City Lord Mo Li Meng and Mo Yu who came to meet Luo Feng together. What brings you here in such a hurry? What important matter has arisen? Luo Feng, in a silver robe, sat drinking in a high tower of the city owner's mansion. Mo Li Meng immediately reported, a matter of great urgency. Shi kingdom has fully invaded Yu kingdom. Many cities on the border have been attacked. Each city is resisting while also seeking reinforcement from the royal capital. Shi kingdom is completely disregarding the rules this time, said Mo Yu Hu. During the invasion, several of those in Primal Chaos realm took action, clearly not afraid of escalating the war. If one or two from the Primal Chaos realm had acted, it could be considered a personal grievance. When several from the Primal Chaos realm take action, it clearly reflects the will of the whole Sha kingdom. Our 5 godly kings of Yu kingdom have yet to issue clear orders, Moli Meng said worriedly. Without orders from the godly kings, all those in Primal Chaos realm are somewhat hesitant and keep retreating, and many places have fallen. In times of war, one should attack when it's time to attack and retreat when it's time to retreat. Having no clear orders now, that's the most troublesome, Moli Meng acknowledged the dire situation. Luo Feng nodded and said, the monarch of Yu country is currently embroiled in troubles and can't return for the time being. Thus, the other 4 godly kings of Yu kingdom also dare not take action, they must still be waiting for orders from the monarch. The monarch can't return. Moli Meng and Moryu who were shocked. A resolution will come soon, Luo Feng said. The monarch of Yu country can't delay for too long. Sha kingdom was intentionally pressing step by step. If their real aim was to annihilate the kingdom, they would have directly had their godly kings attack the royal capital. Without being able to kill the monarch of Yu country, Sha kingdom dared not start a war of annihilation. They were pressing step by step, merely to force the monarch of Yu country to make a decision, whether to give up his true body or not. Yu kingdom, royal capital. Monarch. All 4 godly kings had already arrived, eagerly looking at the monarch. A towering figure covered in hair sat there, his gaze complex with unwillingness, anger, and helplessness. Monarch, although Sha kingdom's conquest isn't rapid, it's a full-scale invasion. To date, we've already lost 32 major cities, with 7 primal chaos prefectures completely overrun. Their army is still advancing, said a black-robed figure with 2 curved horns. They are pressuring you to make a decision, monarch. Their relentless pressure is to force me to forsake my true body and leave Tianhe. The monarch of Yu country was unwilling. He was only a divine power incarnation here. His true body was powerful, Tianhe's environment was more suitable for him, and he was formidable enough in competing for resources, thus provoking the Emperor of Tiankuan and several other powerhouses to gang up against him. Monarch, what should we do now? All 4 godly kings looked at the monarch. Without the monarch taking action, the 4 of them couldn't possibly stand up to the Emperor of Tiankuan. They were also afraid of being forced to reincarnate. The monarch of Yu country remained silent. In our kingdoms of Yu, there is currently an overlord-level being. Although he can't defeat the Emperor of Tiankuan, he also fears him not. Suddenly a woman in green spoke softly. Moreover, this overlord-level being has reached this stage without relying on any external force. No power on the land of origin can ignore him, and he is also the direct disciple of the Emperor of Flame Wind ancient country. Monarch, if Luo He, the godly king, joins Yu kingdom fully, it would make a difference, the horned black-robed figure also said, and the other 2 godly kings all looked hopeful. Having another overlord-level being, Yu kingdom's foundation would naturally be stronger. So strong without any external assistance, would he join a second-rate country? The monarch of Yu country gently shook his head. All right, you all withdraw for now. I need to think this over. The 4 godly kings looked at each other and could only withdraw. In the silent great hall, only the figure of the monarch of Yu country remained. If he were without concerns, he could comfortably hide within Tianhe. But he had his clan, his children, and many subordinates. Moreover, a vast kingdom and a stable output of resources were equally important to him. With Luo his potential, he could easily join one of the 2 ancient countries, or those first-rate nations and occupy a high position. Join a second-rate nation. He could even establish a second-rate nation himself. The monarch of Yu country was also troubled. If Luo Feng were to establish a nation, it might start with a small territory, but as his strength increased, the nation would naturally strengthen. Regardless of the outcome, let's give it a try. The monarch of Yu country had no choice. Asking a friend to resist the emperor of Tien Kuan was occasionally feasible. But this large-scale war would continue for a long time. Requesting someone who could match the emperor of Tien Kuan to garrison long-term would be too costly. As for abandoning the true body, the monarch of Yu country was even less willing to do that. Speaking of which, I and Luo he also have some connections. The monarch of Yu country thought for a moment, then immediately ordered to take his daughter Yushui Qianyu along with Black Butcher, Suo Zi, and several other servants, to personally visit Luo he, the godly king, at Huyang City. This video will end here.